Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour on Saga 960. I want to welcome back to the show Dorothy Knight, who I've had the pleasure of interviewing before. She is an author and an embodiment coach. We're going to have to try to figure out what an embodiment coach is. But she posted something really provocative and interesting a little while ago, and I wanted to reach out to her to find out what it's all about. She posted that people that have got sexual energy have healing energy, and she went on in quite a long post about that. And so, I just had to find out, Dorothy, what you think about all that. You said people who have a lot of sexual energy have a healing energy because sexual energy is healing energy. It's the same energy. The best healers resonate with creative life force energy. Healers are sexy by nature. Really?
Yes, they are. Yes, absolutely.
Tell me more. This sounds fascinating.
So I think everybody has beautiful, sexy intelligence and potential within them. It's just a matter of peeling back those layers and coming back to our true essence. And that is that playfulness, that childlike wonder. I mean, all of us were created by a sexual encounter, and life force energy is creative energy. It is the same energy. And that's why through history, we have had so many misconceptions, which have created a lot of distortions about how we view sexuality, how we view sensuality. And then there's been this great divide between the masculine and the feminine and the roles that we play and what is taboo and what isn't. And I just want to strip all of that and bring us back to our roots, back into the cycles of nature, the rhythm, the pulse, like really connecting with ourselves on such a beautiful and intimate level. I feel a lot of us have lost that connection. And then we're seeking all this external stuff to give us validation, to give us meaning in life, when there's so much richness when it comes to just understanding ourselves, what turns us on about life, how we show up for life, how we show up for others. It all translates into everything in our human experience.
It almost sounded like you were reacting to someone saying that you don't look like a healer.
Yeah.
Because we think healers are like something different than you look.
Apparently so. I don't know. I've never seen a job description that lists what a Reiki practitioner, what a spiritual coach, what an ancestral healer, all the things that I do looks like. I'm like, I would love to see this job description. Like, I've had this happen many times where people meet me for the first time, or they come across me or my post and they're pleasantly or maybe not so pleasantly sometimes surprised because of the nature of my work and not fitting exactly what I just talked about in the previous statement there, that I don't fit a certain stereotype. And maybe they would be more comforted if I came out wearing a muumuu and like 50 beaded necklaces and I don't know, chanting and stuff. I mean, we can do that. That's all fun too. But I am a fully embodied version of my divine feminine qualities, and I very much have that balanced with my masculine qualities. So, what that means is we all, even if you're a male, if you're a female, we all have male and female aspects within ourselves. So, for some males, they are very much perhaps disconnected from their feminine qualities. It's that whole big boys don't cry, right? We don't show our weaknesses. We don't talk about emotions. This is part of the patriarchal system and structures which are starting to crumble, thank goodness. And same thing with women. Women have been suppressed. They have been repressed from their sexual nature, and their nature is to appease the man, the male nature.
Appease the men. Seriously, appease the men?
Yeah. And women, like thousands of years ago, they were equal with men, and they were revered and they had status in society. And then like religion and politics took over and women were suppressed. So sadly, we've been clearing through all of this ancestral historical timelines for so long, and now there's this beautiful re-emergence of the divine feminine, or some people call her the goddess. And the goddess is not an over sexualized woman. She can be if she owns that energy. There's a big difference when you see a woman posting herself in a bikini, for example, but she's in an empowered energy where she knows who she is. She feels confident in her body, and she knows her value beyond just her physical appearance. She's not asking for someone's approval. She's making a statement that this is who I am. I'm actually very confident in my energy, and I don't really need your approval. If you like what you see, amazing. Versus a woman that is posting herself to get validation once again, to seek that external approval that I fit in, I fit a certain image, a certain body type. So
interesting. So let me read what you wrote just for a second here. It says, Eros is the secret of life. It is the fourth force present in all of nature, and sexuality is how we experience and express it. Sex is not sinful. Suppressing female sexuality was a form of domination and control during the patriarchal era that disconnected us from the rhythm and cycles in nature. The separation of Eros and religion disconnected us from our primordial creative force and defiled sexuality, making it seem dirty and shameful. An integral part of healing through love is to create spaces where we can fully accept our sexual nature and freely express it in freedom and trust. To heal and a return to our totality, we need spaces of trust that allow us to touch and live the universal reality of sexuality and Eros. Sexuality is power. The divine world is made manifest in freely lived Eros. The best healers have an abundance of sexual energy. The creative life force energy is sexual energy. Really? The divine world is made manifest in freely lived Eros?
absolutely. Why do we have doubts around that? I'd love to hear like what belief systems come for you when you read something like that.
Because there is, as you say, so much social, religious, society, moral rules, norms that do make sex seem dirty and shameful.
Mm-hmm. And we were raised by those principles too, which is sad because it takes us away from even just being comfortable in our own skin from such an early age too. Like maybe we had parents where they covered themselves up quickly so they wouldn't be exposed and showing, their genitals to their children at a very young age. And it's like the organs, our organs or sexual organs are just for procreation and then maybe for life-giving qualities to our children, like breastfeeding, for example, which also has so much social stigma surrounding it. And then we move through life not really knowing our anatomy, the pleasures and joys that come with these beautiful body parts, these organs that have thousands and thousands of nerve endings. And also, when we stimulate these nerve endings, they're just like the energy centers in our body, our chakra centers. The nerve endings send the signals and they open what we call like portals and gateways within our own body to experience higher states of awareness, higher states of consciousness, to expand that consciousness just by being within our own temple, our own sacred vessel, and understanding that the universe will not recognize us until we recognize ourselves, and that we are divine children, that we are created by creator, God, source. There's no religion really attached to this, but we have always that direct and intimate connection with source. And that alone is very fulfilling. And it brings us to that sense of I am whole. I am in totality, in my totality, in this body. I have all of this amazing energy that I can tap into, and I get to experience it, express it, and embody it through my own body.
Well, we're going to take a break.
Yeah, go ahead.
We're going to take a break for some messages, come back and ask you how you actually get people to do that, achieve that. How do you coach them? What do you train them? What do you have to do? Stay with us, everyone. This is going to be an interesting conversation with Dorothy Knight tonight, talking about how sexual energy is healing energy, and I'm gonna have to ask her what an embodiment coach does, and what the divine female is, or feminine is. Sounds like an interesting conversation, at least to me. Stay with us, everybody. Welcome back, everybody, to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour on Saga 960. I'm already having an intriguing conversation. You are invited to join us with Dorothy Knight. who is an embodiment coach. She's an author, and she's posted recently a pretty provocative statement that says that sexual energy is healing energy, and we're exploring that, and I guess what she's saying is that that too often we allow society's mores to restrict us and don't allow us to be the full beings that we are. Let's go through this a little bit, if we could. Dorothy, what's an embodiment coach?
An embodiment coach is someone who brings you first and foremost back into your body. And it's the process of alchemizing the stuff, the story, the BS, essentially, that we've either inherited, that is part of our inner child wounding, that is part of our shadow selves, which becomes shadow work, which is part of our cultural upbringing, our belief systems, our limited belief systems, everything basically that we wear as armor to protect ourselves, because our ego likes to keep us small. It likes to keep us stuck in fear and in that paradigm where we really cannot expand into our full potential. And all of us have tremendous potential. So whenever I see a client, for example, I never see just their challenges. I see way beyond that. I immediately connect with that divine spark within them, which is their potential. And
You think
it's
everyone
amazing.
has a divine spark within them?
Absolutely. If you're a living, breathing organism, you are created to that divine spark of creative energy. Yes, yes.
Okay, so
It's
that's
that,
what an embodiment coach is, someone that brings them into an understanding of their whole being.
yeah. So it's someone who holds space for you, who has walked the walk, to talk the walk, to take you through those maybe darker places, those frightening places that maybe on your own you're not prepared to, or you're deathly afraid to experience and sit with on your own. So when we go through, we have to go through it to get through it. But when we come through all of that work, like that's when we've shed so many layers of all the things I mentioned that have kept us stuck. And then we emerge like 50 pounds lighter. Like you'll probably lose weight working with me, because we don't lose weight, you release weight. Weight is just energy, it's density that we hold in our body from holding patterns and trauma and stagnant energy and blocked energy centers, all of that. So you feel lighter, you feel brighter, you probably almost feel like in awe and wonder and shock, like, wow, this is me. There's nobody else left to be. There's no more masks to wear, there's no more roles to play. The titles don't mean anything. You just are.
So you
And
sound like a therapist that's really sort of getting to know who you really are.
yeah, we have to know who we are. It's know thyself. Like, how do we know our intentions? Why do we wake up every day? What are we grateful for at the end of each day? Why are we doing what we're doing every single day? A lot of us live life on autopilot. We just go through the motions,
Yeah,
living for
autopilot.
the weekend, 9 to 5, do the entertainment circuit, numbing out with alcohol and drugs. And life is devoid of any value or any meaning that has true meaning, that really brings us to life, that lights us up. You should never, ever feel tired, especially when you're working with this energy, this sexual energy, this energy period. You have an abundance of energy because you're living in alignment with your purpose.
Okay. So let's go through some of these things. What is healing energy and what is sexual energy?
It's the same thing. Energy is energy. And us humans, we love to be so logical and rational, and we
That's
have
what
to
I'm trying to, cut the end,
yeah,
get the
we love
onion.
to compartmentalize things. We like to assign things to give them meaning. And to me, and maybe many people in the spiritual community, energy is neutral. Energy is just energy. It just is. So if it's a creative energy that comes through your body, it sparks you up, it lights you up, it, I don't know, even stimulates you. It turns you on. It's energy.
So
And
I
it's energy.
interviewed a professor that wrote a book called Erotic Capital, and she spoke about erotic capital and sexual energy as sort of charisma and
Mm.
confidence and being not beautiful, attractive, but sexually attractive, that you sort of exuded sexiness. And that was, she said, primarily confidence. Is that what you're talking about in regards to sexual energy at all?
That comes with the package for sure. Absolutely. What is it? Insecurity screams, confidence whispers. So if
Hold
you
it. That's really interesting. Repeat that, please.
insecurity is loud, it screams. Confidence whispers. You don't have to do very much to get anyone's attention. It is a charismatic energy because it's a flow. And energy, once again, like we are energy. We may not see it, we feel it. We know when someone's off, we know when we're feeling off, we know when a place feels good, we know when some place doesn't feel very good, right? We're at least attuned to those things, I think, at this point in our human consciousness. But when we are in that full alignment where everything is flowing, baby, you are glowing, right? Like you light up a room when you come in, you own that room, you own that energy. Your energy is so strong, it can shift the whole energy of a room. You know who those people are when they come into a room. They are magnetic. So in this case, whatever this author's talking about is also magnetizing. So when we are magnetic, we also are able to manifest our heart's desires. But we have to do it from the inside. It's an inside job. And a lot of people like that I work with too, they're like, well, I set my goals, I'm setting my intentions, I'm doing my meditation, I'm doing my yoga class. I'm like, that's beautiful. That's a great path to get you in the right direction, to bring you back into your body, to bring you back into whatever you're calling in that you'd like to create in this reality. We're all here to play. We're all here to co-create abundantly. But it's the inside stuff. So this is where some people give up. They give up when the first trigger comes up, when the roadblocks, the challenges, the mindset, all that stuff that's inside of them that's still unresolved, unreconciled, that makes manifesting or bringing our dreams into reality, into fruition, extra challenging. So that's where someone like me, as an embodiment coach, we go right to the body, in the body. Ooh, you got triggered. Where did you feel that? Where did you feel that in your body? What's your first memory of that trigger? Why did that trigger you? Where were you holding that? Why can't you move that energy? And that's the process of the iceberg, right? The trigger is just the tip of the iceberg. And all of that other stuff, the inner child wounding, the subconscious stuff is deep below the surface.
So sexual energy isn't sex.
It can be. That's just one expression of it. And it's a beautiful expression.
Okay, so there was this term, I'm not sure if you're familiar with it, called BDE. And supposedly Kim Kardashian wanted to go out with Pete Davidson. I'm using a sort of a Hollywood example because she said Pete Davidson had BDE. Is that sexual energy?
I don't know what that term means, actually. What does it stand for?
I think it's big dick energy.
Oh, that's a turnoff for me. No, that's not it at all.
So it's not confidence that comes from your
distortion created by society, and mainstream Hollywood will do that. And that's why we love buying into whatever they're buying into and they're selling us essentially. That's not it at all. Actually, the most masculine man is very feminine as well. He knows how to see the sacredness in a woman. He doesn't have to prance around and flaunt his whatever and drive the sports car and make up for these things because he's also equally embodied in his masculinity as a leader, as a container to hold the space, the feminine energy space. When they come together, they complement each other. That's why I don't believe, like, when someone introduces their partner as their other half, I'm like, oh, where's your other half? This is my other half. I'm like, no. You are two halves together. He is two halves together, and together you make a whole. So no one can save us. No one can complete us. If anything, relationships serve as perfect mirrors of where we're at in our personal healing and journey. So will often,
Mirrors. So what?
yeah,
Opposites attract or opposites don't attract?
they can. We'll always attract people into our field, into our space, essentially, depending on what we need to resolve and heal within ourselves. So we will basically attract the same energy in different bodies until we are conscious of why we are attracting
So you're
that
saying we
specific.
manifest our relationships?
Absolutely. And it's based on your magnetism, right? So if you are really low energetically, you have low self confidence, you have low self worth, you don't love on yourself, you don't honor yourself, you're going to attract the BDEs, right? Why are you going to attract the BDEs? Because they have the qualities that you're lacking within yourself. So you're going to want someone that's like an alpha male, a strong male to fill your void for you. The problem with that is it's very short lived. There's going to be problems in that relationship very quickly because that person's either going to become the narcissist. We've all dated one probably. They're going to become either domineering, controlling, emotionally abusive, all of that stuff. And they will not see you as the divine feminine that you are. They will treat you as a subservient very, very often.
Okay. I want to come back after in a little while to the divine feminine, have you describe that. So healing energy. I interviewed another professor who has written a book on intentional empathy. And she said empathy is healing. Is empathy healing to you?
Empathy is a guidepost for bringing us into a more internal state where we can actually relate to someone on a more emotional level, right? That's the whole, for myself as an embodiment coach, I am incredibly empathetic and I'm incredibly empathic. So I can feel the feels of the person that I'm working with. The most important thing, though, is that I don't take it on as my own. And that's with a lot of people that are empathic. But empathy, yes, I mean, how can we help somebody if it's hard for us to relate to them on an emotional level? So I think it's very helpful as a guidepost, but it's just one component of so many levels of our awareness, of our consciousness. But essentially, it does help us to connect with somebody on a deeper level, especially heart to heart. So we're not, again, just judging the exterior, judging their story, judging whatever their languages, whatever's, keeping them back. But we go, why? We ask the questions, why? And again, we're able to hold space for them because we either know what that feels like or we can at least feel and relate to them on a deeper level of what their experiences have been like.
Um, so you think that people that have got this healing energy, sexual energy, can be what, better healers or what? Because you said sexual energy is healing energy.
Yeah. So the best healers that I've worked with, they have the best sexual energy, myself included, because we are in the energy, we are in the flow, we're tapping into the flow of the divine cosmic energy all the time. So we are able to not only access higher levels of consciousness and experiences, and we can also manifest them here into this physicality and reality, but we're connected to it in such a playful, unapologetic, creative, spontaneous, unattached way. That's all it really is. Like, it's a very artistic, free spirited, embodied, and it's not like hippy dippy energy either. It's a presence. It's a presence. And that's what, yes, it's a presence.
Well, it's interesting because this erotic capital person said that sometimes confidence is misinterpreted, and it's sort of the way that you were describing the BDE, that someone that's overconfident. And she said what you really want to have is presence, and presence is someone that quietly knows, quietly makes it obvious to people that they're confident without, and so therefore they're present, and they're there without them even having to prove that they're there.
Mm-hmm.
That
Precisely.
they have presence.
Yes. It's an energy. It's a vibe. It's a feeling that you tune into immediately.
So what's Eros?
Eros is the sexual nature, the creative life force energy, and it's being in tune with the rhythms and the cycles of nature and honoring those processes within ourselves. We all have a season, we all have a reason, we all have a rhythm, we all have a cycle, and it's really being in tune to what that means for us, what that feels like for us, what that looks like for us, because we are constantly evolving. Energy is always changing. We are always changing and we are always evolving. So it brings us into this divine communication with the divine. So we start to pay attention a little bit more. We start to recognize our own patterns or patterns in our experience. We start to have access to even our senses on a different level. We're more intuitive. Maybe we can hear differently. We can hear energy. We can see energy. We can see colors. So we're humans that are having a spiritual experience, and we are naturally supernatural. That's what it does for us, being connected to this energy. We are so much more than just this physical body. Please take care of this physical body because this is home for this experience, for this lifetime here. So you really want to know what's happening. So I always tell people, let's start at the body. Let's start at the physical level. Do you feel good in your body? Yes or no? How's your energy every day? How do you feel when you see yourself in the mirror? Do you love the image that you see? Are you connected with yourself on a deeper level? And then we can start moving through the next stages of the thought processes, the
So
mental.
you're getting people in touch with who they really are. You're getting people in touch with their spiritual nature, with their soul. Is that
Yes.
correct?
Yeah, I think everyone is in touch with their soul at some level, but it's restoring that connection on a deeper and more intimate level.
Fascinating. We're chatting with Dorothy Knight about being an embodiment coach, about sexual energy and healing energy, and about some of the writings that she's done. Fascinating conversation. Stay with us. We're going to be back with Dorothy in just 2 minutes. Welcome back, everyone, to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour on Saga 960. My guest tonight is Dorothy Knight. We're talking about a whole bunch of different things. We're talking about she made a post about how sexual energy is healing energy, which really intrigued me. And she talked about Eros, and we've talked about that a little bit. And we've talked about her being an embodiment coach. I guess that's really about how she helps people find their authentic self. And it's been interesting. One of the terms that you've mentioned several times, and we really haven't described it or defined it, I'd like it if you could, is the divine feminine. What is the divine, not define, the divine feminine?
So the divine feminine is our connection with the divine mother energy. And this planet is a very feminine energy, Earth. And it brings us back into the principles of what femininity really is. So I mentioned earlier too that some women, because of patriarchal systems, had also become like alpha females, and they've spent the last few decades climbing up the corporate ladder and really being part of the competitive man's world. And there's nothing wrong with a woman wanting to pursue her ambitions and her goals, but if her energy is predominantly in a male action oriented energy, she is very much disconnected from that feminine essence. So these women, I used to be one. Hi, I used to be one. I was 10 years in the corporate world. It was never enough, no matter what you did. It was never enough. Very impatient, very irritable, very angry, very competitive. And who was I really competing with? I don't know. Myself maybe. So oftentimes, like women in this type of energy too, they don't know how to relax. They don't know how to appreciate, integrate, and embody those feminine qualities within themselves. And the feminine energy is nurturing, it's receptive, It's receptive. And I think that's very important for the modern woman today to remember, because so many women struggle, for example, too, with manifesting, with fulfilling their dreams in a more balanced state where they actually do feel fulfilled and happy and whole on the inside by how they do it energetically. So if we're constantly micromanaging the universe, we don't know how to trust ourselves. We don't follow our intuition. We're maybe even disconnected from that intuition. We've suppressed listening to our inner voice a long time ago. And we completely leak our energy and we give our power away all the time externally, once again, to validation, to approval, to relationships. We kind of get lost in this whole energetic confusion and cocktail of just everybody's stuff. And we don't actually remember who we are. A lot of women that I work with are moms. That's a classic example. Mom, woman gets married, woman has children, woman becomes mom, woman never leaves the role of mom. And then if she actually does go back into the workforce, she is this action-oriented, stressed out mom, and also this action-oriented, stressed out employee. So when she comes home, she often doesn't even make that sacred space and space. She doesn't create that time to connect with herself, with her needs, her emotional needs, her physical needs. And that's when we feel so depleted and so defeated. And oftentimes we don't like who we are. We don't like who we see in the mirror. We don't want to be that mom. We don't want to be that wife or that partner or that employee. We want something more. And what is that something more? We're cut off from it. We forgot what that is. We forget to play. We forget to do the things that bring us pleasure. And a lot of women that I work with energetically, their energy centers, specifically around the sacral chakra, which is in the pelvis, that energy is blocked or imbalanced, or there's some kind of trauma that they're holding on to there. So that's definitely a place where we spend a lot of time just working, clearing, healing, and balancing so that they can feel very grounded and they feel connected in their physical body, in their everyday life, in their experience. And then that also translates into their own love story with themselves, first and foremost. What's the language like? How do they talk to themselves? Because that's going to also translate how they talk to everybody else. So everything's always interconnected, and it starts again on a very cellular, a very tangible, a very physical level. That's why I love doing what I do, because we love to complicate things so much. We do like the 10 steps to quantify this manifestation, and we can astral project ourselves into space and do all these epic things. But at the end of the day, this is home. It's still you in your body. Wherever you go, there you are. So if you don't know who you are, wherever you go, you're carrying all of your unresolved stuff. So very, very important. Do you know you? Work through you first. Heal yourself first. And that's going to change all of your relationships, all of your intimate relationships. And you will never, ever deplete yourself energetically again, because you will honor your boundaries. You
Okay.
will know where your energy is best served.
Okay.
So,
So how do you do this? Sounds like it's wonderful things that people get to know themselves and find their divine feminine and their balance and all this kind of other stuff. How do you do it? Are you a psychiatrist? You have them sit down on a couch and you talk to them? What do you actually do?
everyone's different. And I think that's the best thing about being human is we're all human. We all have the same anatomy, more or less, physiology. Our stories are very unique. Our experiences are very unique, and they're perfectly designed for us. And I don't need to have someone lay on a couch unless they feel comfortable that way, but it's definitely opening the door to having those conversations. Yes, it is through conversation first. It's also tuning into the person energetically, because sometimes they may tell me what they think I want to hear, and their energy doesn't match what they're
So
saying
you
at
just
all.
talk to them. Do you have like a bunch of questions you ask them?
It depends on what type of work we're doing. If we're doing ancestral work, absolutely, we're going to go through the family history of things, of belief systems, of trauma, of accidents, of illnesses, all of that. If we're doing spiritual coaching, it's like, hey, are you in alignment? Do you know what your alignment is? Do you want to discover your alignment? you want to stay in your alignment because life gets really hard and there's a lot of resistance that you're going to have to work through. But once you do, you get to thrive in your alignment. So absolutely, it's a very integrative process where I absolutely do things through conversation, through words. Words are powerful. It's how we communicate, it's how we understand and understand each other. But there's definitely an energetic component when I feel into the energy of things too. And in combination, that's where we start to shift the whole paradigm and we start to recode the reality and we write a better story because that's what we're here to do.
To write a better story. Sounds good. You said you also wanted to talk a little bit about rekindling intimacy.
So important, so important. And I was saying, like in that scenario with the stressed out, burnt out mom, I mean, I was one too. Like my children were younger. Good luck carving out some time for yourself and to be with yourself. But I think so many women, especially in their partnerships, their relationships, and I hear this a lot, I'm not making this stuff up. Most women are unfulfilled and unhappy, even just sexually. Again, it's either something that's a very like a drive-through, rush-through process. There isn't enough communication. There isn't enough foreplay. What is foreplay? I don't even know what I like. I don't have time with myself. I don't even understand my anatomy. I don't know how to excite myself. And I'm like, whoa, well, let's start at the basics. Partner, hi partner, you can wait a moment. We'll come back to you because it's overwhelming. Now we're meshing two energies, maybe for some people more if they're into other things, but stay in your lane. Come back into yourself and create that time and space. You lock that bathroom door, you draw a bath, and you get that candlelight going. You play some nice music, you get yourself in the mood. You remember that? Like, remember back in the day when you used to go out on a date or get ready to go out dancing? Like, you had a process. You had a process of feeling confident, of connecting with yourself on a level that made you feel really, really good. And we can't stop doing that when we get older, when we get married, when we get divorced, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. We need to rekindle that fire and stoke that fire within ourselves first. So, by all means, figure out what turns you on physically. Very, very important. You may discover places that you didn't even know existed and they work for you, right? Um, it's so important to bring physicality and movement into our bodies. We live a very sedentary lives rather. We're in our heads a lot. We're always thinking, we're doing our to-do list, we're figuring things out, the birthdays, the shopping, all of that stuff. So again, put that on pause. You can always come back to those things, even if it's 5 minutes a day. Just be with yourself and do the things that bring you joy, that excite you, that turn you on. For some people, it might be cooking, listening to music. Maybe it's dancing and you're moving your body. That's super powerful. That moves energy a lot. I do a lot of dancing, super, super cathartic. Maybe it's creating art. Maybe it's, geez, I don't know, whatever floats your boat, basically.
It's interesting. In rekindling intimacy, you're suggesting that the vast majority of the responsibility is with the individual, that they've got to put themselves in the mood. They've got to think about what pleases them.
Yes.
That's interesting. The vast majority of people would have said, well, it's my partner's fault.
No, that's called putting yourself in a victim mindset and playing the blame game. So now you're putting the responsibility onto somebody else rather than coming back into your space of empowerment and taking ownership and responsibility for your own sovereignty. You are the whole package. You should be so complete within yourself. That's what totality means. That's what embodiment means. I've been talking a lot today. Where you know you are the whole package, whether you have a partner or not. And that, I will tell you, has shifted my reality tremendously too, because I used to attract that narcissist in many, many relationships. And when I did that beautiful sacred time, space experience for myself, and I really tuned into who I am, what excites me, what do I want, what do I really, really want, and I call that into my intention, into my awareness and understanding. And I didn't care if I had somebody in my life for the first time ever. That's when I attracted my now husband. when I didn't care. I was like, I'm good. I know what I like. I know who I am. I know how I move. I know what I'm here to do. And that's sexy. Because when he met me, he's like, you stood out to me. You were different. You were confident, but not like in my face confident. Like you just, wow, you just really stood out to me. And I think we all want to be that person. We all want to be desired. We all want to share life with somebody and experience beautiful things. And we all want to be loved. We want to feel loved. We do. And that's because we're made of love. Like I said in the beginning, we've all been created through an intimate encounter, through that creative life force energy. So we're coming back here full circle, but remember that number one, you always have that connection with that energy. And it's a matter of tapping into it. And sometimes it might take a little while. And if you're doing it on your own, just be patient with yourself. Be very non-judgmental, compassionate, forgiving. Forgiving. We're so hard on ourselves. We're so hard on ourselves. So when you move past the stories and the judgments and the comparison, there's no one to compare yourself to. You are perfect and whole and divine. So then you start showing up for you. And now you can start exploring your edge. What do I need to do to feel like this or to look like this? It's all for me. It's all up to me. No one else can make you do it. No one's going to make you go to the gym if you don't want to do it. It's not going to happen. You have to want it for yourself. So you'll start to figure out what your flow is, what your energy, where it should be, where it needs to be, and how you're going to use it. And that's when life gets really fun. We get to start to play.
Dorothy, this is inspiring. If people want to connect with you, maybe hire you as a coach or as an embodiment coach or whatever, how do they do that? Do you have a website they can go to?
Yeah, super easy. 5dmom.com. 5dmom.com. All my offerings are there. You can learn more about me, my story, how my process works, how you can work with me. I also do family coaching so you can restore intimacy into your relationships and have better relationships with your partner and your children and your whole household dynamic as well. So yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff there. And I'm also on Instagram at 5dmom, on Facebook, the 5dmom. So 5dmom all around.
What does 5D stand for?
Fifth dimension.
The fifth dimension mom. We're going to take a break and come back with some concluding comments in just a minute. Stay with us, everybody. Welcome back to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour on Saga 960. We're chatting tonight with embodiment coach Dorothy Knight. She's an author. She is really an interesting individual, and she's written a big post recently about how sexual energy is healing energy, and that's why I wanted to reach out to her. But a lot of what you've talked about, Dorothy, is relative to females. Is it relative to men as well?
Absolutely. Like I said, men have also feminine energy and masculine qualities, and those are often out of balance as well. So for men too, for the men listening out there, wow. I mean, men are also very hard on themselves too, physically, and also comparing themselves and competing with their fellow men. So for men and women too, I think it's very important that when we come into each other's space, into our awareness, that we honor each other's energy and integrity. We always show up in integrity. I think that's really important. And that will save us a lot of time from attracting the wrong partners, the wrong relationships. However, remember, if you are attracting certain dynamics or relationships, they're only serving as a teacher for you. So start to really pay attention. Who is in your space? Who are you attracting? Like, why are you going out with that guy again? What does that say about you? What are you not dealing with yourself? And I also want to say too, with energy exchanges and interactions, because holiday season is coming around, you know, we like to get out, have fun, and we want to have fun in the bedroom. Just be very mindful of the one night stand.
Why?
Because physically, when we physically come together, we are exchanging energy. We are exchanging energy. So if I have an energy field, my aura, it's magnetic, right? That person has one too. Whatever their energy, it's like a computer code. Whatever they're coded with, I'm going to take on their shit. And I don't want that for anybody, especially if you're attracting someone you don't even care about. You're carrying and taking on all of their unresolved stuff. So pay attention to how you feel the next day as well, because you're going to feel an energetic shift within your body. You may not even realize it. You may feel it a few days after.
So
So,
you're against one night stands.
well, unless like you meet someone who's at your level, you will know. Like there will be that connection, that spark, that respect, that space of intimacy where, whoa, I mean, it can happen, but most people have really not such great ones. And then there's regret, and then there's energetic, like I call it residue and miasma that gets stuck to us. And now
you
it's
talked about alpha males, and that how you had attracted alpha males that you suggested were actually narcissistic. Is there a difference between alpha males, which I think a lot of guys think alpha male is good, and narcissistic, which a lot of people would think is not good? So what is there a divine man, divine masculine?
Absolutely. And I
But
love
he's
that
not alpha.
he is an alpha and an omega. Okay. So he is also in his whole being of totality. So this man is a conscious leader, and he leads from the heart and not necessarily just the ego rational mind. It's a very different male. We're seeing a lot of these males now rising in communities. It's really beautiful. They are here to hold space for us. That's what the male does. And so many men
What do you mean hold space?
It's that presence once again. It's an energy that the male can hold space for the woman, for the child, for the community. That's what we're missing in leadership nowadays. It's still a very outdated patriarchal system, which I hope is going to change in my lifetime. I think it's happening. We can start to see it. But it's a leader that is also not just intelligent or successful, maybe he has a lot of wealth, it doesn't matter, but he also creates abundance through the value that he offers to others, through his service, through his love, through his awareness, through his emotional intelligence. So the divine masculine is also very emotionally intelligent, and in tandem with the divine feminine, they work together. The masculine is the yang energy, and the yin and yang, right? He takes action. The feminine is the receptive. She surrenders, she trusts, she knows, she believes. And sometimes that's when the masculine listens also to the feminine. And sometimes it's not time to be action oriented. It's time to wait, to trust. Things are unfolding. It's going to happen. We know when we need to take action.
God, so we have that's absolutely fascinating chatting with you. I think I need to do one of your sessions. Sounds really quite interesting.
Sounds good.
How do we do this? We go to 5D Mom and we sign up?
Yep. Client sessions are there in the link.
That's Dorothy Knight, who's our guest tonight, talking about 5D Mom, talking about being authentic, talking about finding out who we really are, the divine feminine, the divine masculine, and how sexual energy can be healing energy, and how we have to find intimacy again. What a great bunch of topics. Thank you, Dorothy. Appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me, everyone.
That's our show for tonight, everybody. I remind you I'm on every Monday through Friday at 6 o'clock on 960 AM. You can stream me online at www.saga960am, even from Burlington. And you can see all my podcasts and videocasts on my website, briancrombie.com. Good night, everybody. Thanks, Dorothy. That was really kind of fun.